Basically, you just need to get rid of the stuff that ran down Mama's leg, right? Hi guys. Yeah, well, I know how Dougie feels already. Doug, we're live here at the pre-show, and Dougie's going outside, so he goes outside to have his little snack before he comes in and wants to play live. I have to apologize to you guys today that I am sniffly and I am coffee and I am sipping on some lemon peppermint tea with honey and stuff in it because I acquired the nice cold that it's been going around my house for probably about 2 months now. It's just, I think this is the second time it's made its loop around. But hey, welcome to the Weathered Soul podcast pre-show. We're just trying to get everything ready and kind of having a little kibitzer here and there, and well, we're gonna be with you. Been an interesting week, and we'll be talking about going to be opening up first with just what's been going on with me and Dougie in the past week, like we usually do, and then we're gonna talk about this little Iran and Iraq thing and stuff like that. And but man, you did that quick. You're full already. Wow, it's just kind of like a crack addiction, right? Is that what it is? I won't tell you what it is. But Trump didn't ban it yet.
No, he won't. His
Yeah,
friends make too much money.
yeah, of course not. Of course not.
Check, check. Oh, I sound good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good.
You're doing good.
All right.
You're doing good, man. So, how you doing, man?
Okay.
Like I said, you're gonna have to. We're gonna have that all night. So I'll have to probably do a lot of editing to the audio portion, but to the video portion, you guys are gonna have to put up with me putting cough drops in my mouth and sipping on this tea because I've been coughing a lot, man. It started out with a cough. I think we just had a cough for the last 2 months. It's just crazy, man. This freaking cold that's going around just seems to be making it around and around and around and around and around. Well, we got the countdown here. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah. There's been something going around.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I hear.
Something of nastiness.
Abby, Abby
Yeah.
has it.
Well, I had a sore throat um, between Christmas and New Year's,
You're the reason.
but it wasn't too bad. I mean, I never got sick or anything.
You're the reason.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah.
typhoid Mary.
But we had Abby's brother and nephew over
Right.
for a couple of days, and they were on airplanes, and they come
Right.
from a
Oh
far
God.
they come from a foreign state with all
Yeah.
different genus and
Yeah.
generations of the germs.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the pure germs here in California.
No, we have the happy germs. It's California.
We're about 30 seconds away. Do you think we can keep quiet for 30 seconds? Come on, kids. Do you think we can keep quiet?
No,
No, I don't think so.
since you're gonna ask,
It's not going to happen.
no. But
I hate this
yeah.
cold. I hate this cold.
So, did you hear what was going on with our bathroom?
Mm-mm.
We went to change the tub. The P trap
Mm-hmm.
was the pipe coming out of the P trap was a little rotted. Yeah, it didn't break. They didn't break it, but it was about to break. So they dug it down. They reached through that little square hole in the slab and dug out a bucket full of dirt, and then uncoupled it and put in another compression coupler and a brand new P trap and all that stuff. It was fun.
Good.
Very
Good.
exciting.
Good. Good. Welcome to the Weathered Soul Podcast, Doug. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you
So we're at
doing?
Thursday night, man, in Gilroy, California. We're
Yes, it
live
is.
from First No Production Studios here, and it's cold tonight.
Relatively.
Relatively cold. Yeah, for us, it's like we're freezing to death. I mean, for somebody else, that's only 54 out. They're
Yeah.
probably like sweating. But
Yeah. Well, like I said, it all depends on what you're used to. When I lived back in Connecticut, this time of year, it could be 40 degrees. It could be, well, now it could be 50, or it could be minus 20.
mhm.
And as the season progresses, you get more and more used to it. So in December you're wearing a parka and a hood
Right.
and gloves, and
Mm.
by the end of February you're out there in a sweatshirt and a hood.
For those of you that are watching on the YouTube podcast, the simulcast, I'm not feeling well today. I might be a little nasally. I'm going to be a little coffee. I'm going to try to make it through this podcast as make it as quality as I can, but probably as short as I can also because I'm just not feeling well today. And I don't have a fever or anything, but I got this damn cough. It just keeps.
Yeah, we couldn't get the PJ from the earlier show to
It-
fill in for you.
but it sucks because this cold's been going around for about 2 months in our household. Basically about it. But I don't know.
Back and forth, back and
Yeah,
forth.
just back and forth for
Yeah.
about the past month, and it's
I
crazy.
doubt it's
And
the same one.
probably not. I was hitting the first time Tracy got sick was right before Christmas, and I was just pounding airborns. I was oh hey bing. I was just pounding airborns like they're going out of style. It's like 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C,
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah, well,
And
you're only gonna absorb so much.
yeah, and then it was doing okay. I was doing all right. I had a little cough, but I never got sick. And
Yeah.
now I've got the starting to get a little deeper, and the congestion is starting. So I'm going like, ah,
Well, the
man,
older
I
you
hate
get, the
that.
harder it is to
Yeah, well,
fight
not
that
only
stuff
that, then
off.
I got to spend my morning on top of a rainy roof in Foster City.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, you told me about that. That's well.
some of, some of
So
you who don't know is I'm a facilities designer, and I take care of facilities for big buildings and stuff like that, any kind of building.
so
But
could your cold be a workman's comp claim?
maybe
Make you use all your personal and vacation time first.
yeah, probably. So I don't have any vacation time left, but
There you go. Genius.
I'm already caught up. But yeah, we dodged the raindrops. I mean, we were up there. It got pretty windy and cold. And then when the rain started coming down, of course, I needed to get my paperwork out of the way, or I was just going to have one great big black ink blot, you know.
I hate it when that happens.
And so we dodged the raindrops, and it's all in the job. I mean, I've had to do some unpleasant things since we got back to work, since this brand new year, and everybody's back at work now. And I got to go into the Botox facility that they have here in the area, and it's amazing what I have to do to go do my job. It's I have to gown up in like 3 layers of clean room garb just to get into this Botox facility because it's just the
Well,
stuff is so
yeah.
toxic. The stuff is so, even though it's clean, it's decommissioned right now, and it's cleaned. I mean, there's still residual around that. It freaks me out even to be in there. It really does.
I know. And I hate getting into the bunny suit.
Yeah. Okay,
Ugh.
well, first thing is that they make you undress totally. You're just in your shoes. They won't even let you wear your street clothes in there, and they give you this pair of
Right,
pajamas.
because
They
you
give
you
you this.
don't want you to take anything out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they get you these things called blue pajamas.
Yep.
And you do that, well, and then you put your booties on. You go into, you put all your stuff that you're taking with you into an airlock, and then you go into another room, and you dress out again in some more garb, and then you get out of there, you grab your stuff, you go into another room, and you dress out again. So you've got like 3 layers
Wow.
of this clean room stuff on. You're just a dirt bag is what you are. I mean, that's pretty much what a clean room suit is for, is to make you the bag of dirt and not anything
Yeah.
being on the outside of your body.
Yeah.
And it's protecting you from, Botox is botulism is pretty serious stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
you don't wanna breathe that
yeah,
or rub it in
yeah.
your eyes.
So, but anyway, to make a long story short, I tried to get in and out of there as quickly as possible. It's just one of those things I hate to do, man.
Yeah, I used to have to do the clean room get up ridiculous for, a machine I had at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland,
Yeah.
and, it was really it was so ridiculous because, you go through all the clean room stuff. I got a big toolbox. I take all every tool I'm gonna use and put it on a counter, and then as I need them, somebody hands them to me through the airlock,
Hmm.
and I'm in there working, right? I'm checking it out, and they've got a 4-inch hole in the floor letting the positive pressure out,
Mhm.
and it's like,
Well, that's how they do it.
Yeah,
That's how they do it.
that's not clean.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Well,
what
they were just for dust.
yeah,
They were just for dust.
unfortunately with this facility, I usually just walk in my street clothes and able to get into the actual production facility because at that time it's usually declassified. Well, they just got done with the run of their product and they're under what they call clean, but not ready to declassify. So everything's cleaned off. It's been sterilized and stuff like that. But there's still I don't care how great you are, man. They've had some leaks with their cooling waters and stuff like that. So you never know what's on the ground and stuff like that. So you got
That's
to
for
be
sure.
real freaking careful. And it's just one of those things I get to do, man, until I make enough money on this podcast that I can quit that job. And all you got to do is listen to us on Anchor.fm because that's who our distributor is.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who our sponsor is also Anchor.fm. So if you want to go listen
our
to the what
benevolent sponsor.
that's right. And if you want to go see the weather, just type in the Weather Soul podcast. Type in Anchor.fm and you can find us there. You can go to our podcast and you know what? You can support our podcast just by listening to the podcast. Now, you guys on YouTube, you guys are gonna have to go on YouTube. We're gonna have to go back and download it and listen to it again. It helps us out. We get paid for it now. So we made a whopping $1.13 this week.
Moving up,
So we're moving up.
moving up, man.
You got a raise, but I'll have to deduct some stuff out of your check. So don't be
Oh, please
surprised.
do.
Okay.
You know me. I'm a team player.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I had your paycheck with me, but yeah, I spent it.
you fell through the hole in your pocket.
Yeah, it fell through the hole. It fell through the hole in my pocket.
Right on.
Interesting week we had. Interesting week. It was.
Oh
It's
man.
man. I never. It's something that we've been talking about for years now, and it really happened. It really happened. They've been talking about this escalation with Iran, and this has happened way back. In the basically, I don't know if it was in Bush, but so much it was in Obama. I mean, so we had this situation with the sailors, you know, off of uh, Kuwait or something like that. They got
It was in with Carter.
yeah, card. Oh yeah, well yeah, even farther back from
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
even farther back from there.
yeah. Even farther back from him. Yes.
But I wanted to talk about what happened this week. But before we do that, I'm not a sympathizer with our enemies. As Duck very much knows it. I, I don't sympathize with the Russians, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't look at them as being a threatening enemy to me until they step foot on my land and try to take my stuff. And the same
But
thing
that's not true.
yeah, yes, I know your opinion, and it's the same thing that I think about Iran and the Middle East, and I just think that we have been so much the world police, and whether we were put there by the UN or by our own pride or by the people who want us to occupy some country next to us or whatever. I mean,
I think it was more by default because we were the only one with the resources to do it at the time, and we got
yeah.
stuck.
Do you think it's
Unfortunately,
do you think it's stuck, or do you think
no. I
that
think it's stuck. I think after World War II, Europe and Asia was pretty beat to hell. There were a few countries, even Australia was affected. I mean, there's a few countries that were unaffected by that war,
Mhm.
and we had the resources and we were the powerhouse and we wanted to take the lead. We needed to take the lead. It wasn't just good for us, you know, uh, say politically, but also economically.
Yeah, but did we have to stay?
Well, once we got, let's just put it this way, you know how it is. The more you have, the harder it is to maintain it,
Uh,
right? And which is probably something we're going to discuss later. But, um, the more you accumulate, the more time and effort you have to take into maintaining and upholding that inventory. So we had stakes in all these places around the world that were important to, once again, my
Yeah,
point of view,
right, right,
to the people who own the country,
right.
to make them more money,
Absolutely.
right? And so that's where it was. My taxes are going to pay to protect their assets.
their assets,
and
which
that's what it
become
comes down
our
to.
assets.
Now,
And
which becomes something that I can buy from them. So I'm paying to protect them, protect their source of this material or whatever, this thing, widget. Okay, I'm paying to protect the source of it. I'm paying to have it manufactured. I'm paying to use it, and it all goes to you know who.
yeah, let's fast forward here real quick before I get into what I really wanted to say, because one of the things that that I wrote after all this went down was God, I can't remember. Trump had made his speech yesterday, and one of the quotes that he had said was, "See, hey, here it is, the quote right here. We don't need Middle East oil."
Yeah.
Okay, now that might be true. We might be the number one leader in exports and pulling up oil right now and all that. But um, if we quote, and this is a quote from a president, we do not need Middle East oil. Well, then there's no reason for us
Yeah.
to stay in the Middle
What the
East.
hell are we doing
What
there?
the hell are we doing there?
Yeah. About 5%. We get about 5% of our oil from there now.
Yeah.
Where in the 70s it was like,
Well, I know.
40%.
Well, exactly, but that was because of our policies, with pulling oil out of the ground. Maybe our capabilities of pulling oil out of the ground because we didn't
Well,
have to invest that money to pull it out of the ground.
exactly. At that
Yeah,
time it was cheaper to buy it.
correct, correct. And that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it's almost cheaper to buy it now too, because since this crisis has arrived and since it's de-escalated, oil went up that day that we killed Soleimani
Oh
or
yeah.
Salami, whatever his name is, and then after Trump came out and said that they were or they had made an agreement, him and the prime minister, that they're going to de-escalate because that's what really happened. Oil crashed
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And the market did the polar opposite.
Exactly, and then yeah, the market just went crazy.
Speaking of which,
So,
is your 409k gone up 90%?
well, my 401k is looking really
The
well right
409k.
now. My 409k is looking really good, but
Sorry. Uh, I don't have a 409k. I spent all my money on hamburgers and covfefes.
Go Pepe's. So what I wanted to do is I found a article out of the conversation dated December 1st, 2011, and it's about the Iranians and how much they distrust the West. I've seen a couple of different articles, and I also listened to Jason Stapleton had interesting commentary, and it almost mirrors what I'm going to read you here about the history of the Iran and why they hate us so much. And it's not just because they hate the U.S. so much; is that it started with the British, and it probably started even before them because they've always been occupied by somebody. The Middle East has been a turmoil of tribe against tribe since the biblical times. So I mean,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
face it, it's been in turmoil. So the long history of the Iran distrust of the West by the conversation, um, and this is by Shurham Akbarizadeh, and he is the deputy director of the National Center of Excellence in Islamic Studies in the University of Melbourne. So that was back in 2011. But Iran's relations with the West have been difficult for years. The growing international condemnation of Iran for its less than transparent nuclear program, based on the report of the International Atomic Energy Agency, has led to more sanctions on Iran. This is 2011. Provided the pretext for the storming of the UK diplomatic compound in Tehran, reminiscent of the hostage taking of the U.S. diplomatic personnel in 1979, lasting 444 days. And we might not remember, but Iranians do. Iran's relations with the West have been deteriorating with no end in sight. And that was 2011. So what, we're 8 years past that, and they've deteriorated all the way. Commentary on this troubled relationship is generally focused on the experience of the 1979 revolution, which brought the Islamic regime to power, and the pre 1979 history of the Iran's relations with the West was not trouble free with the Shah, and Iran was never colonized by European powers, but it did not protect it from the colonial reach of the United Kingdom. In the late 19th century, the British India Company had established a monopoly over tobacco trade in Iran, and the expense of the local merchant class. At the beginning of the 20th century, the UK established exclusive rights to its protection for its prospect for oil in Iran, resulting in the formation of the Anglo-Persian Oil Company in 1908. Dissatisfaction with these exclusive rights and the inability of Persian dynasties to withstand colonial pressure was a major source of public anger and strikes. In 1906, the constitutional revolution was inspired to desire to curb the absolute power of the king and to force the foreign influence of Iran, telling the revolution started in the public garden opposite the British embassy in Tehran. So the oil coups and the Iranian anger. The Iranian parliament remained a rubber stamp institution until 1951, when it voted to nationalize Iranian oil and boot out the Anglo-Persian Oil Company. This was a major success in asserting Iran's national interests, but the charismatic Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh paid a heavy price for his leadership. The well orchestrated move, the American CIA and the British government colluded with the Iranian king to remove the Mossadegh from office in 1953. Am I saying that right? Mossadegh or something like that? I think so.
Most of the day. Okay.
Mossadegh
Yeah.
was humiliated in the sham trial and spent the rest of his life under house arrest. I read through a lot of this more, but it just tells us, when they instilled the Shah of Iran and how the American interest went into oil and how everything was brought about by Western influences that have always been a thumb in the Iranian government and its people. And its people are kind of split 50-50. They got a religious following, and then they got
Hmm.
a nationalist. They're really nationalists over there. They love their country, and this assassination of their general. I mean, from what I hear, and from what you see, I got to believe some of the stuff that I see, that this guy
Hey,
was popular.
listen. You know how I feel about our
Yes.
current president.
Yes.
I don't care how I feel about him. If
Mhm.
somebody shot a missile at Air Force One and took him down, I'd want their asses strung up in the street and stoned. I
I,
mean, really. Okay.
I
Period.
I can agree with
I don't
you.
care who the guy is. It's an insult to my country.
I can agree with you to a point, but I've got to look at the fact that they attacked the embassy again, the I- Iraqis and the Iranians, in conjunction with the general there, and it,
Yeah. Even though it
my
looked.
libertarian source
Yeah.
says Trump did the right thing by getting on the phone and getting a bunch of troops over there to take care of the situation and protect the embassy. But I think he should have stopped there. I don't think there should have been any type of retaliation until there was a diplomatic forum to say, "Hey, look, you know, it could have been a day, it could have been a 1 day thing. It's just say, hey, look, quit fucking with us." You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I mean, did Trump Trump had to know that the
All those
general was in
all
that
those
caravan.
protesters, which were mostly students that were surrounding the embassy and climbing the walls and throwing rocks,
Hmm.
um, left
Yeah,
when they were told to.
right. So who was staying? Who were you protecting?
Not just that. I mean, it could have been much worse, right? I mean, we've had bad situations,
Oh yeah, we've had very much,
right?
very many.
So, and we've had bad experiences there. So, you know, they should know better, or they should expect a
Uh,
knee
reta-
jerk, or at least a severe reaction.
retaliation,
Yeah,
retaliation.
being threatened like that. Well, I don't say retaliation. I don't think there should be retaliation. I think there should be protection. I think there should be
I
across this line and you're dead, but not we're gonna now go hunt you down.
I honestly think that
And that has to do with the protesters, the
we
people that
shouldn't
were
even be
there.
there. I just believe that we shouldn't be there after the Iraqi war, when we took out Saddam. We should have pulled out right then.
Well,
But
yeah, a lot of people say that.
we instilled our freaking, quasi freaking dictator, to and set up their government, or we let them set up their government. We trained their troops, and you can argue. that they turned against us and they want us out. I mean, the
Yeah.
Iraqi parliament wants us out, but
And there's something else. There's another dynamic here that's never talked about, and it's been there from the very beginning. It's been there since the end of World War II, and that is if we don't go in there and set up our infrastructure, okay, and
mhm,
get them addicted to our aid or appreciating our being there, they're going to go to the communists. All right, and if we hadn't established this whether legitimate, illegitimate, covert, um, whatever system that we've been trying to implement, then we
okay,
wouldn't have had access to any of those resources,
I will agree with that.
right?
I'll have to say that I agree.
Right, and the communists would have starved us out of existence, and we'd all be standing in bread lines right now.
I wonder how much that is true. I mean, I to me, I think of my world as this little
It's a
utopia,
possibility that we couldn't take the chance of letting happen.
but
No, that's
what do you
one
mean?
reason why we had to spread our influence.
I
That's
know,
one reason why we had to be nice to so many people,
but
right?
it's
And what do you think happened with Cuba? Cuba was like, "No, I don't want to be an American puppet. I'm going with the other guys. F
yeah,
you."
yeah.
All right, and we're lucky Puerto Rico didn't do it too.
Well, did they pose any threat to us? Does does Cuba pose any threat to us?
When it had missiles on it, it sure did.
Okay, so we got rid of the missiles, but didn't pose any
We
threat to us
almost we
anymore.
almost annihilated the earth that day.
I highly doubt that anybody wants to be lobbing nuclear missiles at
You
each
know,
other. I really,
Khrushchev
I
was a
really don't.
fucking nut, and you don't know how
I
close it
really don't.
came.
Yeah, I really don't think so.
Dude,
You
you don't
think
know
it?
how close it came. They had submarines with nuclear warheads pointing at our ships
Hmm.
in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
What do you think would have happened?
Well, what do you think we're doing now? We just sent up. How many B-52s do we send over to the region right now? All all having nuclear warheads.
They don't have orders to shoot.
Okay,
They did. The
but that
Russian
order,
boat did.
but that order to shoot can be like.
It was one captain that saved the world. Yeah. Otherwise it would already be all over. You and I would not be here.
Mhm. Well, I just think the
And I'm
situation.
I'm I'm not saying that this is I'm not saying what I'm saying um did happen. I'm saying it could have happened. And this
Yeah.
is a fear that we need to have because if it could happen, it's like, why do you wear your seatbelt? Because your head could go through the windshield.
What do you think Iran poses to us as far as a threat?
Well, I think that the real threat is, and it's one of it's unfortunately it's one of our weaknesses, and it's something that we just have to chin up and take. But they could have cells all over the place.
Yeah,
They could have all sorts of things going on right in San Jose that we don't know about that they
yeah,
could let
yeah,
go anytime.
I'm sure they do. But in the same token,
I'm not sure, but they could.
so do we.
Who's got more to lose?
We do.
There you go.
Yeah. But they got a lot to lose too. They got
Hey, did you
it's
read
not that
did
they
you read
it's
that
not that they
article
don't. Yes.
you just read?
Yes, but it's not
They're
but it,
full of it. They've had enough. It's like they're at the point where
oh
it's
well,
like,
yeah.
guess what?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't think that they would subject their people. Especially, you lob 12 bombs into Iraq. You lob 12
I'm
bombs
not
into
ta-
Iraq that don't have any warheads on them, purposely missed or got shot out of the air by our air defenses.
No, some of them hit and some of them had warheads.
Yeah, no, none of them had warheads from what I
Then what were those
from what
exploded
from.
buildings and huge holes in the ground I saw on the news?
I think you're getting fooled by the news, but anyway.
Okay.
Reports from some independent sources say that those bombs had no warheads on them, or
Sure.
maybe very few had warheads on them. But in the same token, they were purposely shot to miss, and it was a
Yeah.
what you want to call a showcase
Right.
of retaliation to save face. I believe.
I think it
I
was
just
fair warning.
I just don't think that anybody wants to escalate this anymore. and I don't think the Chinese do or the Russians do. I don't think anybody wants it. I
Nobody
mean, once
wants to.
I mean, since I mean, to
Nobody
tell you the
wants
truth,
to except for some
yeah,
insane asshole who's been planted
yeah,
in Chicago.
yeah. I don't
Okay?
think that Trump really wants to escalate this either. However, the fact
No,
is
he
that I think
doesn't.
he woke up freaking everybody. I think everybody's got their eyes wide open in the Middle East now, going like, okay, so yeah, everybody
Yeah.
better be on their toes. I mean, because
Yeah, and so should we,
and so should we. Yeah,
right?
we should
Because now the
never.
precedent's been set,
Yes, we should always keep our heads on a spool.
right?
So
What's to stop them? I mean, is Trump going to stay in the White House the rest of his life?
no, no, no. But we've always procrastinated this move on not getting out of the Middle East, and I really think that we have no business in the Middle East, other than for our allies that we have. The allies, any place that we're occupying to try to set up our own nation building, like Iran. I don't know what's going on with Afghanistan, but it's been 18 freaking years, dude. Come on, really? I mean, there's some places they don't want us there.
Hmm.
We don't want to be there, and for
Right.
some reason, for some kind of corporate money military industrial complex playing both sides to the middle interest is the reason why we stay in some of these
So
places.
naive.
uh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
If we weren't in Afghanistan, we wouldn't be building as many Abram tanks.
Exactly, but I'm saying they're playing both sides to the middle because on the other side, they're making military grade stuff too. The Chinese, the freaking Russians, they all
Mhm.
make machinery that go that way.
Yeah.
And that money is the same money that's funding the stuff that we're making. I shit you not. It is. It's got to be. There's some few people at the top that fund this stuff. And that's the military industrial complex. They play both sides in the middle. I'm sorry. You
Of
cannot.
course they do. They want to
Yeah,
make money.
exactly. They're going to make money. So, yeah.
They, the reason why the I'm sorry. Anyway,
We can get off on all kinds
yeah,
of tangents
yeah.
on this, man, but I'm going to stand
Where the
firm.
money comes from that buys our politicians that make the decisions of what gets spent where.
I definitely, yeah, I can agree with you there. I can agree with you there.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, I
You know
still
how many
think,
of Jim Jordan's constituents lose their jobs if we didn't have any wars anywhere?
you know, the,
And they get paid well.
oh,
Those people that weld those Abram tanks and stuff are
oh
highly,
yes,
highly skilled, highly
I
trained
mean,
people. Now they're good jobs. But if we weren't at a war, they wouldn't be making them. So
exactly. So that's what
I rest my case.
I don't think it would be a economy altering situation if we quit spending money on the military industrial complex. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I just don't see that happen. Yes, a lot of people would be out of jobs. Yes, but we'd find something else to do. Go learn how to fucking code.
Yeah. No, that's
Go learn how to code.
I mean, no, no,
Yeah,
really.
go
You
get
don't
your
have to
own
be
gig or
you
something
don't
like
have to
that.
yeah, you don't have to
Yeah,
be yeah,
because
you
we
don't
don't
have
have to do this, dude.
yeah.
We don't have to do this.
Right.
We can
No.
fund so many
Could build
other.
cruise ships.
We can we can fund all these things that we keep talking about. We want to give our citizens if we just cut, 25% of our freaking Pentagon budget. I don't think it's not doable. I really don't. I think just the whole bureaucracy and the whole complexity of the foreign relations that we have with everybody and our foreign policy just drives that engine, and they want more and more money every time or every year or every administration.
Last administration did that, got us Reagan.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Jimmy Carter had no wars going on.
we've been
We were not at war with anybody when Jimmy Carter was in office. I mean, we had our troops all over the place, but we had no active hot wars going on.
yeah, but we
Yeah.
got our we
Yeah.
got all those diplomats freaking
Okay.
you know
So
yeah, well,
and then so what's happened since?
we've been in a war ever since,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I mean, yeah.
We're gonna take a break.
All right.
Oh, this is the life. rest of my tea.
So
We never got to my shed.
no, the uh, the missile that took down the Ukrainian airliner, they didn't have a warhead in it.
Yeah, you mean that stupid mistake?
Yeah.
The missile that took down the airliner was Bush's fault, right? Or Trump's fault, right?
No, no, it was Obama's fault. Didn't you hear the president?
Oh yeah, that's right. All the that pallet full of money, all those missiles.
Yeah, no, it was pretty. It was. I thought it was pretty ridiculous. Watching the news, the night of, and hearing these, experts saying, well, if you look at that engine, you can. It looks like the engine blew up, and and then probably
Yeah,
took the plane down.
right,
It's like
right,
I'm looking at it going, how come the metal's bent inward if the
yeah,
engine blew up
right.
out? What a sad situation, man.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Weather Soul podcast. You've got Doug and Bruce here, and I just think I just blew Dougie's ear out there. You all right?
Well, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah, yeah.
better.
Just had to adjust my
I could
BS
probably,
filter.
I could probably use another cup of tea, but I'll get that after I get done here. But yeah, as promised, the second segment of the Weather Soul podcast is going to be kind of dedicated to crushing your debt, and we call it the debt crusher. And I promised last week that we were going to start with the first lesson, and the first lesson today is going to be how to do the fund. And when I talk about how to do the fund, is that news item that came out? Well, it kind of makes its rounds all the time. When times get hard, and or either the economy is good and somebody's getting too rich, or the economy is bad and people are really poor, or credit's going through the roof, and it's that people don't have even, I think it was $400 or $500 for any type of emergency. And in order for you to get out of debt, you want to crush your debt. And like I said, I'm going to make this disclaimer for the debt crusher is that my results might not be your results. I'm going to give you guys advice. I'm going to have um, Dougie chime in every now and then when he wants to give some of his advice or disadvice, and we're going to try to get you guys on a straight and narrow road to get out of debt, because I got a lot of friends of mine who who admire the fact that people can be out of debt, and I have no debt except for my mortgage is the last debt that I have, but I'm out of consumer debt. A lot of people have all these credit cards that are maxed out, and right after the holidays, and this is a stressful time, and I've been in this stressful time before where I've maxed out my credit cards, and because I went crazy on Christmas, or the car broke down or something like that, and you've had to max out your credit card on something to actually get by, and there's nothing more free than to not be able to do that and not have to worry about that. But it doesn't. This is not going to happen overnight. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen in a day. Doesn't happen in a month. Doesn't happen in a year. You could probably get debt free. I've heard people getting debt free in a year to 2 to 3 years. It took me and Tracy a long time. We kind of did it a long, slow way, and this is the way I did it because it was what benefited us the most. And of course, we weren't out to impress everybody, but you got to live a life. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that just go to work, come home, eat, watch TV, go to bed. They got no life because they're just in this churning motion. Well, some of us like to go out and have a bite to eat, or go to a ball game or something like that. And I can almost guarantee you that if you're making enough money but you're just overexpending everything, that you can get out of debt and still kind of enjoy a little bit of a life that you can have. You're not going to go to a baseball game every freaking 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but you maybe go baseball game once, twice a year or something like that. Maybe go out to a nice dinner every once in a while, but you got to cut some stuff out, man. And I've made an example out of it because I've been practicing it myself on cutting out a lot of stuff that helped me in the beginning make my fund of what I had. I had $1,000 limit on my emergency fund, or my fund. That happened within the first 3 or 4 months that I started doing the program with Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman. Oh, excuse me. And but I was lucky because at the time I was making the money that I was supposed to make. I was just I was just a fool with my money. I mean, that's basically what it came down to.
Well, yeah.
And but it took a while. I mean, it took us a while to get it through our head that if you just train yourself to pay yourself first when you get that paycheck. And I know for some of you that aren't making very much money, it's hard to do, but you can even as little as a nickel. If you just put away a nickel, not touch it, and a couple days later put in another nickel, not touch it. By the time you put in enough nickels, you're gonna have money. Money you can spend.
Yeah.
And
Quarter a day is like
yeah.
$90 a year.
Yeah, but I know you understand what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
So once you start making that habit of paying yourself, I mean, some people, maybe that's all they have is a nickel. But if they could put that nickel away and make that a habit, and as they start coming out of some of the stuff that we're going to teach you, that nickel turns into a quarter, turns into a dollar, turns into $5, turns into
Well, I think that, the first most important question is, you know, you have to be able to get out of your credit card debt with the incredible interest rates. I mean, if you're paying, if you're in a boat where you've got a bad credit rating and you've got a credit card with $10,000 on it at like 24% interest,
Mhm.
you're fucked.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, but
Excuse my French.
yeah, but that is a choice that you made to be
No,
able
but
to.
but to dig
Yeah,
yourself
but
out
to
of
dig
that is
yourself
a
out of that,
big
and
job
you're not going to do it on the minimum monthly payment
ever.
ever. It's never
No,
ever
you'll
going to
die with
happen.
debt.
You will die with debt, and you know what? There's a lot of people that are simply happy to die with debt. They said they don't care. Somebody's going to pay it, and that debts always get paid off. Bad credit always gets paid off, whether it be paid off by the debtor or whether it be paid off by the debt. The person that lent the credit.
No.
It always gets paid off. Somebody absorbs it. And that's the reason why interest rates, flurry around. Who's paying it? If people aren't paying their credit cards off, interest rates go up. People start paying their credit card rates, interest rates go down. And
And I think what the point that I was trying to make is you have to target.
yeah,
You have to make a plan. You have to target, and you have to find your largest loss first
absolutely,
and tackle it,
absolutely.
and then everything starts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I've done in the past week or so is I went through my budget and I started pulling out a lot of the stuff that I never even know that I used. And it was funny because on my computers, I've got like four computers around here, a bunch of tablets and cell phones, and I have a I have a antivirus that I bought that I have on every computer,
Mhm.
and it costs me X amount a year, which turns out to be whatever, 4, 8, $9 a month, whatever the case may be. And I'm looking through my internet bill, and my internet bill I pay for a security suite. So not only am I on my internet bill, which comes through here, do I have a security suite? On top of that, I'm paying for another security suite that I don't need. So you need to sit back and you need to examine your finances and go like, some of these things you're paying double. So what I did is I canceled the one that I bought, and now I'm using the one that I get for my internet. I just saved $9 a month
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I can
Yeah.
put that $9 a month in a fund, or I can split it and use $5 for getting out of debt and $5 going into a fund.
Yeah.
That's how easy it is.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and that's a lifestyle that you can
right.
practice and carry it throughout all parts of your life.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? The computer have made things so easy these days. I mean, you can find anything you want on the internet. You can do anything you want on the internet. One thing that you can do on the internet is now a lot of people use Quicken, Microsoft Money, and things like that to do their checking accounts
Mm.
or to to keep their records. I use Quicken. Well, Quicken used to be a program where you could buy the program from Fry's or wherever you go to, and it
Yeah,
was your
I had that once.
yeah, and it was your program. Now it's a subscription program, $49 a
Well,
year.
that might be better, because here's another thing. All right, so I had Quicken once.
Hmm.
It was on a computer that I threw away probably 20 years ago or whatever. I threw that computer away not because it was bad computer, but because it was becoming outdated and I had to buy a new one.
Right, right,
Bada
right,
boom,
right,
ching ching. Give us another
right.
$49.
So that's exactly what Quicken has done. Now, the thing that Quicken took away from the knowledge of people that used to know how to use the old checkbook. Anybody? I want to know if anybody in the YouTube audience remembers
I do.
remembers the register,
I do.
remembers
I
the
still
check
write him. Yeah.
register. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't use it the way it's supposed to be used, but I write down the checks. Like the way my dad used to. He used to write tiny and use
right,
every single line, and
exactly.
the date and the amount and who to. Basically, I put the date, the who to, and the amount. That's it.
Right,
But
right,
but it's enough.
right.
Right.
Well, so for $49 a year, I can use Quicken. However, they charge that your bank charges you a service fee through Quicken to be able to update your
Oh,
checking
sure, sure.
accounts on
Every time you access them,
every
yeah,
time you access
yeah,
it. So they
yeah,
charge you a monthly fee.
yeah.
Well,
Cha-ching.
cha-ching. I I stopped paying for Quicken,
Sucking
and
those nickels.
now I am doing it.
Yeah,
I go to my bank account online.
right.
I do my ledger every day, and it's the same thing. Does it take longer? Yes. I don't. It's not one click for me anymore. But you know what? I spend 10-15 minutes a day doing my checkbook, and I got another $9 that I can split up in between my emergency fund
Right,
and putting $5 away to
right.
pay off my debt.
Right, and once again, there's in it's a lifestyle too because you have to think about everything,
If you
everything you buy, every purchase you make, the way you drive your car, what you your environment, what temperature your house is on, how many lights are on, what kind of lights you have. You have to consider everything.
if
You
you
have
are
to
serious
be a
and
true
sick and tired,
ultra conservative.
yes,
Damn
if you are
Yankee.
sick and tired of being out of debt or being in debt, you've got to look at your finances and find out where you're wasting your money,
Yeah.
because you'll find yourself able to save that 400, 500, $1,000 fairly quickly if you just cut these things out.
But you can make a habit
And
of
you can make
having a
a habit.
conservative lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying conservative
No, no, no. We're
like a
not talking about
bad the opposite of the Democrat.
we're not talking Sean Hannity
Yeah.
conservative
No,
or
no.
Rush
No.
Limbaugh
No,
conservative.
we're
We're talking
talking
about a conservative,
yeah.
financially conservative, but I like to call it financially
Yeah.
responsible.
Don't throw away something just because it's old if you can still use it. You don't need a new one.
Yeah,
Don't get a new one.
exactly, exactly,
Just
and
little things.
yeah, and those are the things, and it's surprising how quickly that it can happen. But really, take your time tonight, and within the next couple of days, sit down and look at your finances and look what you can cut out. Do you have to have that Starbucks every day? Do you have to go out to lunch every freaking day? You had the story of
Yeah.
your crew, and
$50 a week for lunch.
yeah, $50 a week for
And then they
lunch.
ask for a raise. It's like,
Yeah.
no, guess what? I'll buy you a loaf of bread.
Buy a loaf of bread and some peanut butter. Here you
Yeah.
go. And no, it's just amazing how much you can cut out and still eat, and so you don't get to go out to lunch, and so you don't get to walk into freaking and have a Starbucks. So what?
Right. But then you know what? That 2, maybe 3 times a month that you treat yourself to it, it's
Yeah,
that much better.
it's that much better. Exactly,
Yeah,
it's that
but
much better.
you cut out like 20 of them, and yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you don't have to have one every day.
Yeah.
Um, you can like I said, it's all up
Right.
to how
It's up
inspired you are.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether you want to do it. It's up to you and your mentality. How sick of you having the creditors call you all the time? Perhaps some of you have had that problem with they come and attach your wages. I've had that problem. I know how freaking bad it is when they attach your wages and all of a sudden you're only taking home half of what you're used to taking home because the judge said they can have the rest. And I mean, that's a
Yeah.
serious situation when you're that fucked up like I was and you have that stuff happen. I mean, it's a serious situation.
Right.
And unless you get serious about it when it happens and quit running around and trying to hide from it. I know people that change jobs all the time because they're running from their bills. Once a creditor comes in and starts wanting to attach their wages, boom, they're gone from that job and they're trying to find the next job. It's a scary thing to be driving your car out the rear view mirror. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Walking with your freaking head,
Yeah.
with your eyes in the back of your head. I mean, that's no way to live. And let me tell you, there's nothing better than to get up in the morning and know that the only thing I have to pay for is this house. I don't have to pay for a credit card bill. Other than I do pay my credit card bill every month, but I mean the only reason that I use my credit card is for things that I would usually buy. I buy my groceries.
Right, right. And yeah, we use it
Yeah,
because we get cash
yeah,
back. So that's
exactly.
nice. And then there's
It's
another
nice.
little
Yeah, there's a
two
little
hundred
caveat.
dollars,
Yeah,
two hundred
there's
dollars to
another.
throw in the vacation
Exactly,
fund.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we'll teach you all those ways. Next week we're going to get into the what I want to call the Rolling Stone credit card payoff, and we'll be talking about how to get that started. But I really want you to go and I want you to look at your finances, look at look at what you can cut out, look what you're paying double for, look at all those subscriptions that you have that you don't use, and cancel
Everything.
them. Everything.
Look at your gas
Look at your
bills.
gas
Look
bills.
at
Look
your
at
heat, your electric bills.
yeah,
Look at how much fuel you're using in your car.
mm,
How often you got to buy tires and
right.
brakes because these are all changes in lifestyle that will save you money.
Exactly. And once you start getting that little fund, what I want to call the fund, and then later on, as we go through these teachings and stuff, then we're going to get into the fund where you're saving some serious money just in case you lose your job or something catastrophic happens and stuff like that. Because $500 is not going to do that. But I tell you what, $500 that you have that you won't be touching because you have that set away just in case the tire blows out and you can't things that you just didn't expect.
You
The
get
five,
sick for 2 weeks and you
yeah,
only have 1 week of vacation or sick
exactly,
days.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So these things all help out, and we just want to help you out, and we're going to help that you come back and listen to the next
Yeah.
one that we're going to do, which is going to be the Rolling Stone credit card payoff. And
Oh
yeah,
boy,
there's nothing
credit
better.
cards, man. They can be a blessing or they can be a curse.
If you don't use them right, man, I couldn't wait to get mine. You know why? Because I got to keep up with the Joneses, baby. I got to flash that card out. I thought it was like my badge.
See,
I
I
got to
was introduced
share.
differently. I got the Sears card first,
Yeah,
and it was like sacred.
yeah.
It was like you took it out and you held it. You gave it to them, and they put it through the and you took it and you looked at it, make sure the numbers didn't get rubbed. Put
Right,
it
yeah.
back in the
You got to
wallet.
sign for
Yeah,
it,
no
right?
mag strip or anything like
Yeah,
that on
nothing
them.
like that.
Yeah,
That was cool.
yeah, and that was high interest rate. You know, it was high, but you paid it off. That was the idea. You go to Sears and you buy $180 worth of tools and you put it on the credit card.
Right.
But you have the $180 in your pocket,
Exactly.
right? And then when the
Exactly.
bill comes, you pay it off, and then all of a sudden, guess what? You got a great credit rating. Your interest rate goes down and down and down, and now you can use the card and actually use it for a loan to yourself without
Absolutely.
having to pay interest on it for the rest of your life and never pay it off.
Absolutely. Hey, and if you guys need any questions answered or any kind of tools that I can give you that I've used, you can go ahead and give me an email. Send me an email at Bruce, the Weathered Soul at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to send you all the information that I have, help coach you, and get you, oh, excuse me, and get you through this little bump in your life and let's get going with this because it's one of those things that I'm really 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 adamant about. One way to start building wealth and getting yourself financially free, and then you'd be surprised how much freedom that you have once you are financially set.
And you'll be surprised how what a good feeling it'll be inside and actually reduce your need for material things. Like you won't have to go out and buy, spend an extra $4,000 on a car because it's got a flashing light and dashboard. You'd be, I'm cool. I'm cool with my 12-year-old Honda. All right, but I got
Exactly.
money in the bank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but doing a lot of thinking. It's it's been it's been 2 months, 2 months and a couple of weeks, 2 months and a week since Anthony passed, and I've been
Well,
listening to
Bruce,
a podcast.
not everybody may know who that
Yeah,
is.
I know a lot of people
So,
may not know,
yeah,
but my son,
Anthony
yeah, my
is,
son passed away 2 months ago, and some of you may not know. And but it was tragic for us, and I was reaching out to anybody that would help me out just so I could get this off my chest. And I ran across somebody in one of the groups that I was in, Eric Larson and his wife Marcy. And Marcy has a website called andysmom.com, and she does podcast interviews with mothers, and Eric himself just did one with her. But basically, she's talking to mothers who have lost their children, and it's really inspiring. It's sad. It's helpful. It helps the grieving process. It helps you know that there's other people that are going through the same thing that you're going through, and I just thank Eric and Marcy. They're my link of the week. Again, I gave them the link of the week a couple of weeks ago too. But andysmom.com, if you're grieving, or you know somebody who's grieving for somebody who lost a child, whether that be a young child, or whether it be a child. We're not supposed to bury our children, and but she's also inspired me. And I'm going to be coming out with a new podcast, just myself, and it's probably going to be called Anthony's Dad or something like that. But I want to talk to the fathers, and I know a couple of fathers already who have lost their children, or in the process of losing their children. Also for those who have children like Anthony, and who are worried about what I'm going through. And so I'm going to be giving that out there to specifically dads who would kind of just like to get that stuff off their chest. Again, you can email me at Bruce the Weathered Soul at gmail.com, and you can get all the information. I'd love to have some people in here. I've already got a couple of people signed up to do an interview. We'll have those coming up, and that'll be my own podcast, another podcast on Anchor.fm, and it's going to be called Anthony's Dad. Probably, I'll let you know once I drop the first one. I'm still toying around. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't. It's already has Andy's mom, but if she doesn't mind, I already told her that I was going to do this, and hopefully she give me her blessing, and I'll run the. I mean, once somebody has an
yeah,
idea. I mean, they live in Michigan. They're in Detroit, and we're back here. And I mean, there's not any podcasts other than Andy's mom that deal with the death of a child. So I'm gonna try to give back what I can. That's what I do. I try to give back all I can with all the blessings that have been given to me through my music, through my podcasting, through my philanthropy, through anything that I can do. So, and if I can just talk to somebody that wants to get things off their chest, and I it's still new to me. There's still a sting, but I think I have made some leaps forward, and I think men are different than women sometimes when it comes to the steps and the walking forward, depending.
every
It's
person
just
is
every person is
different.
different. Every person is different. But if I can make one person feel like it's okay, it's okay to feel like you're feeling, you know, because it is really okay to feel how you're feeling. I have different feelings every day about when I wake up and how I feel about the day and going forward, and whether I want to do something or whether I not want to do something, whether I want to cancel something because I just can't handle it today. People need to know that it's okay to feel the way they're feeling because of their grief or their sadness or their depression. I don't want
Right.
and they've got to know also at the same time when it's getting dangerous,
Right.
Yeah,
You also need to know that there are there are ways to work with it, but there's ways to carry on, um, cope. I guess
and
is
there's
what I'm
people
looking
out
to
there,
say.
and you know what? You need to talk. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember dropping the podcast right after Anthony passed away because I had to. I did the same thing right after, the Garlic Festival with what we went through at the Garlic Festival. It just helps me to get things out because I just want to feel normal again, and I don't feel normal. I mean, I'm getting along. I'm getting along better every day. A lot of the things that helped me were some things that just my relatives have done. I mean, I think the thing that helped me out the most this Christmas was having Anthony's chair at the table.
Yeah.
I really think that was such a therapeutic move that my sister did at Christmas Eve, and we copied it on Christmas Day, and I think it went a million miles for me. It really did, and I can't explain what dropped off of me.
Well, everybody copes differently,
Yeah,
and it's good to hear other opinions because it could give you insights or even motivations, ideas, possibly even in a I'm not going to say a path out of it, but a clarity,
right,
a clarity,
right, right, right.
a clarity to vision. I don't know what else to
Absolutely.
say.
I don't know what
Just
else to say, but
getting
I'm
out
really
helps articulating it, helps
yeah.
you hear it, and helps it sink in.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about having this podcast go forward. So I hope you guys will spread the word. Hey, if you like the Weathered Soul podcast, share it with somebody. We're on Anchor.fm. We're on any of the podcatchers that you can think of.
And if you don't like it,
And
be
if
sure to tell
and
us.
if you don't like it, be sure to tell us. You can email us at brucetheweatheredsoul at gmail.com. One of these days, Dougie will get back into the swing of things with the social media, but I'm not sure that's going to happen very quickly. And we want to thank our distributor, Anchor.fm. They're wonderful. I can't say anything more. I think the podcast is going well with them. And we're going to stick with them. And yeah, it's
Yeah, well, we seem to get more viewership through
I
Anchor.
believe we got
Yeah,
more viewership now. So I
yeah,
keep looking at the numbers keep going up, and I know that we were off for a while, and unfortunately the circumstances melted so. But I've seen an uptick in the listenership, and I'm going to be offering something very special here pretty soon. So it's going to be a giveaway of some items that I have to give away in honor of this debt crusher stuff that's going on. So I've got something that I'm working up real special for you guys, and you're
yeah.
actually
A printing
actually.
press.
And when I put the word out, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are going to get this for free.
Right on.
So keep
Excellent.
your eyes open. We're on. This is the Weather Soul podcast. Share it if you like it. We're from First Snow Productions in Gilroy, California, and I think that's all we got for today.
Right on.
All
I'm
right,
good.
man. You have a good week,
You too.
and I'll see you later.
Good night, folks.
Bye. You know what I did?
Not again.
I did. Let's pull it off of there.
Oh, jeez, I
Did
didn't
it
even
again.
notice. All right.